So, Henley, man, what do you got for us today, man?
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna do this. This is Mongolian mindset was.
Oh
No,
no, no, no, because I thought you had some questions or things like that.
I did. When you typed chai in the first 10 minutes, I noticed five different SINE statements.
Hmm.
Um, and I wanted, and I didn't see any NI statements except for maybe like one I want something, something. And I just wanted to see, like, because I noticed like five of them. Like, come on. So like either I'm completely tripping balls or there's something
Oh,
that
okay.
in an inconsistency in the system. So I want to see.
Well, generally speaking, like when you're typing people, you want to look for like an overall arching pattern. Okay. Um, and then like you kind of like want to look at like what's absolutely there, you know? So like with Chai, what's absolutely there is that she's direct, right? Even though
Yeah,
it's giggly and bubbly, right? You know she's TFI, right?
I could kind of tell that. Yeah, I didn't
Okay.
watch the whole thing, but yeah.
Oh, I mean, it doesn't matter if you, but like you could tell that she's TFI and she's future focused. So
Hmm.
as soon as you go into future focus, that's abstract. You only got two abstract finishers,
Right.
INFJ or INTJ.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So from that perspective, you only locked into two.
Right.
You either go INTJ or INFJ, right? And if you're going INFJ, then you want to be finding TI statements, right? Because you're going to be getting TI and FE. Um, so if you're not seeing TIFE, then you're left with INTJ. Just because someone's future focus and direct, you got direct, future focus, you either got an NTJ or NFJ.
I
And
understand.
then like if they're progression or like journey focus, I like to call it journey focus. They're all about like going through the ups and downs of life, the cycles, the whatever. Then the journey focus. So then you'd only have INTJ and INFJ. So then you have to make the call between those two. But SI, there's only one SI finisher.
Right, and that's the
ISTJ.
ISTJ, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wasn't getting ISTJ either.
But so if you got ISTJ, then the person has to be concrete.
Yes.
So if you're not getting concrete, and you're not getting affiliative, then it's like that's dead. And most of
Did
the
you
time,
did you see her? I didn't watch the whole interview, but she didn't seem like the most pragmatic person on the planet.
she's not like the most she's kind of like sneaky pragmatic, is what I would call it. Sneaky
Hmm.
pragmatic. So like they kind of like put on a mask, like that she's like this very bubbly person, but probably outside of like in reality, she's really not. Like she's like forcing it. That's the weird thing about INTJs when they're like forcing the FI child a lot. It comes off like too much. Like it's kind of inauthentic. You know, as you
Hmm.
see, like Shelly doesn't bullshit. Like Shelly's like the same person. Like there's no FI child in Shelly. So I see those as two like perfect cases of INTJs that you can look at because in one you have child who's harmonizing. So harmonizing is more like um derived from estrogen, right? And you have somebody like Shelly who's like normalizing, right? So like normalizing INTJs, like you could just look at them and tell like that's a fucking INTJ, right? But the harmonizing ones are a little bit more trickier to pull out of the pack, you know, because they're a little bit more bubbly, a little more out there. Like Chai is like a little bit more bubbly, kind of acting like she put on the facade that like she's kind of silly, you know, but that's all like a little mask, you know. And behind the mask is like a very stone wall person, kind of like Shelley.
And the way that you can deduce the mask is by, noticing the
Well,
statements that are congruent with the metric of INTJ.
so how you figure out the mask is that you would, you figure out first, okay, this person's direct, okay, okay. Now I'm going from like if she direct, okay. Once I eliminate direct, then I'm looking at, all right, what's next? What's the overall like? What's jumping out at me? Like I'm not trying to force a category, you know. Like that's when whenever I'm trying to type somebody, I'm not trying to force a category. I'm kind of seeing
Hmm.
what comes out, like what's keep emerging. And then once I find that's what's like 100%, like 100%, I can tell this person is direct. Okay. And then if I find out they're direct, then I take that. Now I got eight types going. And
Right.
then I keep going down into like, I'm not gonna just jump out there and be like, well, take something where I don't know if they're future focused or not. I'm not gonna be like, oh, this person's abstract, you know. It's like, nah, 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 nah. Let me slow down. Let me take the ones that I can get. Okay. Let's say, for instance, a lot of times you won't see a lot of systematic statements from INTJs that are like FI child focus a lot. But like from like let's say Thomas or Shelley, you will notice that they're very systematic. Like it'll come out a lot more. And that's because of that TE will be a lot stronger.
Okay.
The TE parent be a lot more stronger. So you'll see like they'll be into more systematic point of view. While like the ones with FI child would be more idealistic,
Uh-huh.
like fantasy, like kind of like naive to a point of view, While like
Okay.
Shelly, Shelly, like cut the bullshit, like don't like Stonewall Jackson. Hate to call it that, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd have to look at the first.
What about FI heroes? What do you think of them? You think they're a little bit naive and fantasy stricken?
Well, it really depends because like you got the INFP who doesn't really get out much, right?
Hmm.
You got SI child, very background. They can be very naive, but they're always watching people. And they may not say nothing, but they're like watching, 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 watching. The ISFP, they a little bit more, they're more SE, so they're out a lot more. They're doing things, they're getting around. Less naive, but like the really thing I noticed about them is they're very like emotional, like very emotional. Like they feel these emotions intensely, and they can categorize them pretty well or talk about them pretty well. It's like an overall arching theme of themselves that they have to remain consistent to the identity.
Uh-huh.
As in, like someone like myself, it's like, okay, that's cool and all, but like, does it work?
But wouldn't you argue that like things work because they are all these other things? Like, wouldn't you argue you need these emotions in order for your life to be balanced and things to work harmoniously?
Um, I mean that's a pretty. I mean, looking at it for me,
I know
I
that's a very deep
I,
question. It will take you
I
a long
don't
time.
really think that you really need the emotions to work. I just think you need to get shit done. So that's like a TE perspective from behind it. Like I just think you just need to get things done. I don't care if I feel a certain type of way. It has to be done. As in, like for them, a lot of things can stifle them because it's all about how they feel about something. Oh, they're not
I
feeling
understand.
good about this, or they're not get a good feeling from that. I'm like, damn that this has to be done. Like I don't have time for this. Like I feel a certain way. Like fuck that. I still got to go to the gym. I still got to get like still got to go to job. Like to me, it's kind of like worthless. But they would say, all of my stuff is shallow. It's all achievement oriented. No big meaning behind it. Personally, so that's how I see it. It's an FI inferior type thing from a TE perspective. TE is just like I got to get it done. I got to be productive. What's the best move on the board? Like I don't have time to be caring about like what I feel. Like what's the best move on the board? It's like
Okay.
life's like chess to me, but life is not like chess to them.
Interesting. All right. So yeah, I'm going on tangents because like I just felt like asking that because I've been
Hey
going out
man,
with
ask
some
whatever you
girl
want,
who's
bro.
I've been going out with some girl who's clearly an ISFP, and it strikes me as naive because everything about her is about emotions, and it's like
Yeah, but you're supposed to be. Didn't you say you're an ESFP or some shit now?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Then that should resonate with you. You
It
should
doesn't,
like.
it doesn't. All right, so hear me out. Hear me out. Okay, so hear me out, Mercer. Okay. When
Go
I
for it.
was a little kid, I was a sensitive snowflake. I'm giving you the whole biography to give you an idea because I do want to be retyped if that's possible.
Sure.
Is that possible?
It would just be me, man. But
Yeah, yeah, no,
go
no
for
worries.
it.
Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Go.
Okay.
Give me your
All
spiel.
right. So when I was 15, 16, around that time, I randomly became depressed. I don't
Mhm.
know why I became completely like the fucking, how do I compare this? Like the Great Depression. It's just like everything in the world is not, it's not only blue, it's like almost black. It's like there is no meaning to anything. It was basically hell on earth. But to the credit of the whole perpetrator to my depression, which I'll tell you momentarily, it was like it did help me see things I'd never seen before. And I became very, very engrossed in philosophy and the mysteries of the universe and all this crap. And I didn't know why. I never understood why. But then like, I got to 17, 18, 19. and eventually it became clear to me, all right, yeah, something's really wrong. And then I realized coffee, or maybe just caffeine in general, I'm still trying to figure out which one it is, literally changes like everything about my disposition. So does alcohol, so does everything. Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of everything in my life. So then like I was like, okay, I don't want to give up coffee. It's the most amazing tasting thing in the world. There is nothing in the world that tastes better than coffee. Like, come on, this is like cruelty that God does this to me. So I continue to experiment, trying to figure out why the fuck this happens to me. And um because I wasn't gonna give it up, like ain't no way I'm giving up coffee. And eventually I was like, holy shit, like because I ran into typology by accident pretty
Mm-hmm.
much, right? Because you got like I stumbled across your videos. Then the people were getting into the 16 personality thing online,
Mm-hmm.
when I'd always test as ENTJ or INTJ or some shit. And I'm like, so so then that day when I messaged you and I was like really passionate, I was like, Mercer, you gotta know about this.
Mm-hmm.
Is because that day I figured out that it literally changes my personality. And how I figured that out is because I had coffee for the first time in a blue moon again. And that day when I was on your podcast for the first time, I had coffee that day. And suddenly, as I drank it, I started giving so much of a shit about the consequences of everything. And like, what if I step on that there, like the fucking world could do this and that. And that. I never give a shit about these kinds of things. You know what I mean? It's like, it was crazy to me. And suddenly like everything had to, because my stepdad was with me, every conversation I had with him had to be logical and everything had to make sense. And because I'd had a break from that mindset for a while, I wasn't used to it. And then I was like, oh shit, I think coffee made me an ENTP. Like, I'm not even kidding. And um yeah, and I was like, oh shit, well that explains why, because any demon versus any hero, you know what I mean, and all that kind of stuff. And literally everything becomes each other's opposites. And typically, like reality is arbitrary to me, but when I'm on coffee, but then when I'm off coffee, it's the polar opposite of that. It's like, all this conjecture in my head is reality, is arbitrary to me. And reality is all that fucking matters. And I don't give a shit about any of these other ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like, it was like, holy shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So have you taken coffee or you drinking coffee already, right?
No, I'm drinking chamomile tea. I can't do caffeine.
Okay. Um, so I mean we're going back here. So like what do you think is your greatest skill, man?
Who I think is a great skill. Art, I
Hmm?
guess. Well, then, no, because that's what I like doing the most. So that's not what I'm the greatest at. Shit, what am I the good? I don't know, because like, compared to this is all relative to other people, right? Like if I'm good at
Hmm.
something, but everyone else is also good at it, then I'm not really that good at it. So I'm pretty left-brained. I'm pretty analytical.
Hmm. You're pretty analytical.
I think so, yeah. About things that I like. Things that I don't like, I'm not analytical.
Can you explain like why you think you're analytical about things? Or like,
Because I like to come to solutions. And then once I come to solutions, then I have equilibrium and I have peace of mind. A lot of it is because of the neuroticism that I went through with coffee, because I had to figure out everything or else my mind wouldn't be at peace, you know. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So like when you wake up, what do you like what's the first couple things you do?
Lay around and fucking hate my life. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to wake up. But then after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I'm like, we gotta get going. We gotta be productive. You gotta be better than you were yesterday. Blah 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 blah. All that kind of crap.
Hmm. You talked about depression. What do you think puts you in a depressive mood?
Coffee. When I'm on, I swear to God, bro, when I'm not on coffee, I don't feel a negative emotion in my, I'm like, because I've trained myself not to feel any negative emotion. You know, all those years of coffee, I was suffering and I couldn't handle it. I really needed to get out of it. So I had to, I couldn't live like that, you know, and I knew that my emotions were artificial. So I had to do everything in my power to figure out a way out. And I literally wrote a book where I go so in depth of how to get. Some people say it's not natural. The ISFP that I've been seeing is like, you know, this is not healthy. You know, you
Well,
need
you
to.
wrote a book on what?
What?
You wrote a book on what?
I wrote a book on self-discipline and I called it The Foundation of Life. Um, Basically the whole idea is every single, you know, chapter is, and every sentence I write is and directed towards making the person that's reading it more in touch with their values and their goals and um what they want to do, and then accordingly they just become more efficient, you know, like in every what in however they can. And it's basically, if you understand everything that I've written in this book, you will be unstoppable pretty much. That's what I wanted to write, as a Bible for self-discipline for myself, and so that I can make money from other people. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Are you publishing it or is it?
Hopefully, yeah. I'm working on my third freaking draft right now. I hate these drafts, but you know, you have to
Hmm.
do them. And I'm trying to get my aunts to edit it, and then in a few weeks from now, hopefully, I can start getting it like out. Hopefully, you know.
Okay, so describe the what made you like want to write a book, man? Like
Okay, I
what
love writing. Okay, you know what? You know what? My greatest strength? Writing. Writing. Fuck analyzing. I'm better at writing because with writing, you know, you don't have to be analytical. That's the beauty of it. You can be like, you know, you just write about emotional things, you know, not just logical things, and you can do it in this really beautiful way. And I love that so much. Then yeah, like, so I've always wanted to be a writer. And as a first task for me, not only because it will be helpful to my writing, but also because I needed this, you know, Bible for self-discipline. Um, so that, you know, it's written in my words, in Henley Shoreland's words, written, you know, all these things that I should do. There are no excuses anymore for me not to do this, you know, like they're all gone. And also because I think it's so valuable. I called the book The Foundation of Life because it is literally everything in your life revolves around, you know, your willpower, you know, everything.
Okay, okay. If somebody was wanted to write their own book, what would you recommend for them? What would you recommend, like how they go about that?
Um, I don't know. Everyone has their own journey.
Yeah, I mean, you got like no pointers, anything like that, like things you messed up on.
Oh, well, one thing is what because you know everything had to be correct because of my influence from coffee. I had to basically unteach myself to make sure everything makes sense because otherwise, if you cannot make sense out of these things. You can't. You know, you cannot make sense out of writing or out of anything in the world, in my opinion. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah. Let's see here. What are your other hobbies besides like writing and acting? I know you're an actor or not.
Well, if I had it my way, I would literally just, you know, spend time with other people, with friends, like all day long,
Mhm.
uh, as my hedonistic fantasy, as you'd call it. But like, that's, you know, but okay, no, I wouldn't because at the same time, you know, you do need to be purposeful. But I would spend a lot of time doing that because, yeah, I love being around people. Um, yeah, I would. The thing is, I'm curtailed by my financial situation because I'm just a broke college kid. You know, I can't do all the things I want to do. If I could have it my way, I would literally like spend every night like DJing at a club and then wake up in the next morning and write like 5 poems and then, you know, and go to lunch with some hot-looking girl, and then like that was what would be what I'd love to do, but that's not what I'm able to do. Yeah, I love nature. I'm just looking out the window right now. I like philosophy, but I only like it if it gets me to a certain point. Like I picked up a book on Stoicism that some girl recommended me like a week ago. I read the first 30 pages, and then after reading that, I decided I'm never going to read another page of that ever again because I don't agree with it. I agree with Epicureanism, which is a branch of hedonism, but it's not the same thing as hedonism.
What made you not agree with it? Like, what do you mean you don't agree with it?
With Stoicism, because Stoic, like, okay, I watched a YouTube video where the guy explains that the guy says it's, not, it's different to Epicureanism because they seek pleasure as the highest good, and then Stoics, on the other hand, believe in all this fucking bullshit, like, moral values and whatever. And if you feel pleasure out of that, then that's like, a byproduct of that and just an incidental thing. Get the fuck out of here. Why would you be alive if you're not going to have pleasure? Like, come on, that's the stupidest thing ever. So then, yeah, and I don't agree with how like everything has to be temperate. I agree very much with feel all your emotions, I think that's what makes life good. I know efficiency and all these things are important too, but it's like you got to feel, otherwise there's no beauty to life.
Okay, okay, okay. What is something? What is your deepest regret, man?
You got me thinking about some tough shit. Uh, Even that's not a regret because I couldn't have done it. There was this one girl who I really liked from one of my classes a couple of years ago, and I said to myself a few times, I really, really, really regret not asking her out. But in retrospect, I couldn't have because coffee was affecting me so much mentally that I didn't have the energy to do it. I was just too depressed. So actually, I can't give myself a hard time for that. But it is something that I think my life could have turned out better if I did that. Um, what else? I low-key regret not running away from home when I was 9 and starting a business. I think that would have made my life better if I did that.
Running away from home to start a business.
Yeah, that's what my next book is going to be about. It's about some kid who runs away from home and starts his business. I'm going to write the kid in that book is going to be an INTP.
INTP.
Yeah.
Interesting. An INTP running away from home. And
Yeah, because he is using his logical brain. Basically, his philosophy is his brain is a bunch of buildings. That's an epiphany I had like a few years ago, like because I was low on sleep and the buildings were slowly crashing and tumbling and falling down. And I was like, oh, that's some trippy shit to think about. And so then I was like, okay, so if all the buildings though there and people are inculcating information in our brains that's making our buildings, warping them in all these different kinds of ways, and you use that idea and the kid is guided by that philosophy and he realizes that school is killing his buildings. They are not contributing to the construction of his buildings. They are destroying the buildings. If he realizes that and he realizes that to not, it's like with eating well, like you realize after a while eating McDonald's is shit for you and you're disgusted by it. It's the same kind of thing with this kid, he realizes that the school is not good. It doesn't matter if he feels safe at the school and he feels danger going out. It doesn't matter. It's objectively the best idea for him to do to get away from the school. So that's why he does that. And he becomes extremely successful incidentally. And he realizes along the way that everyone's feelings and thoughts are all bullshit.
okay, okay. Do you feel that way, man?
Feel what way?
Like feelings and all that is bullshit.
I was heavily influenced by a book by Richard Bach called Illusions. And he says it in this really, convincing way that like our feelings are just illusions pretty much, and our thoughts as well. like everything that the human mind generates. But you can still use it for good, as you said. Make it work.
mhm.
Like you can. Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, I'd say they're all attached to chemicals, and
Correct. It's all
like
chemicals.
so,
Yes.
like when you're talking about coffee, that's just like a chemical being. I mean, it's probably unleashing like certain endorphins and things in you that cause you to feel a certain way.
Mhm.
Um, I never really heard about like coffee making people depressed. That's usually
Me neither.
alcohol.
Yeah,
But
that's why I kept doing it for 4 years, because I could not possibly believe it was coffee that was making me depressed. Like that's the stupidest thing ever.
yeah, yeah. So how long have you been coffee free?
I'm an idiot and I've been experimenting every week because I fall to temptation. but but I'm trying to be off for good, because every time I literally become an ENTP. Like I do. Like it's just it's hell. It is. Can I just tell you? Okay, people are gonna hate me for saying this, but it is hell being abstract, or an ENTP for that matter, because the future. Like you can't be thinking about the future all the fucking time. You just can't. It's the stupidest thing ever. You live in now. You don't live in tomorrow or the day after. So that's why it's so neurotic to be thinking all the time. But because my mind is in such equilibrium when I'm not off coffee, when I'm not on coffee, I don't realize how painful it can be to be in that state. And then I drink it and then I realize my mistake. But I've been off it for like a year, kind of like 2 years on and off. I
Hmm.
go through stages.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm, okay. Man. I mean, you writing books. Anything else exciting you want to talk about, man?
What could be helpful to you to figure out my type?
I mean, I pretty much already got what I'm going with again. Um, but we could just talk about anything. We do that, and I'll
All
just
right, what is my type then? ENTP?
yeah, man, back again at ENTP, bro. First
Why?
thing, mystery of the universe, philosophy. I hit you for abstract journey about depression. You went on a journey about your depression, the whole like spill about that. Uh, what the fuck did I write here? Um, whatever. Something about liking to experiment to see what was happening to you, progression. You talked about like when you're on coffee, you think about consequences. I just wrote that down for any SI, but I wasn't too worried about it.
Mhm.
I think coffee made me an ENTP. And like, oh no. Reality is arbitrary. I hate that for abstract. Analytical about things I like, regardless of the fact you're always talking about being analytical to the things that you like. So ESFP isn't analytical about the things that they like, man. I'm so sorry, bro. It's like,
Wait, ESFP are not analytical about things they like?
no, man. Like they're not analytical people, bro. They're just like they're not analytical people, unfortunately.
Wait. So how do they live their lives if they're not analytical?
Well,
Like how can you live your life without analyzing anything?
they rely on how they feel about a lot of things. They rely on like experiencing things, like just doing things, how they feel about it, what's their morals, uh, achievements, what makes them feel good as a person, things of that nature. Not so much like if you want to ask an ESFP thing, you never ask them what they think about something. You ask them how they feel about something. You know, how do you feel about something? You don't ask them how do they think because they don't really have very good thinking functions in general.
Mhm.
Um, being TE child and TI trickster, they're not gonna have an analytical approach to a lot of things. I'm
I
sorry,
understand.
man. That's more of a high TI TE thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's gonna be in the high TE TI thing to be very analytical about something or talk about from things about going in things from an analytical perspective. Um, got to be better than yesterday. I hit you for progression there. You talked about you were suffering. SI inferior with the coffee. Um, you wrote a book on self-discipline, dude. You literally wrote a fucking book on how to overcome your SI inferior, which is hilarious. Um, be more efficient. With like that's the reason why you wrote the book. I could hit you there for systematic, or I could hit you for TE there. It doesn't really matter, ENTPs have T critic, and that can be just as strong as their TI parent. Generally speaking, you really want to work on that as well. You talk about the foundation of life and stuff like that. That's abstract. You didn't agree with that Stoic book, so you disregarded it. Basically, what I got from what you're saying is that it didn't make as much sense to you. So since it didn't make much sense to you, you rejected it immediately.
Fair enough.
All right, so that's more of a TI thing. Okay, this book ain't logical. This book is inconsistent. Chuck it away. They believe in moral values, and all of that is bullshit. That's what you said. So talking about moral values and that being bullshit, like moral values generally come from FI,
Right.
and you're just basically saying like that's bullshit. Like, sorry. Um, then you had this epiphany with the buildings and all this shit, like a clothing and imploding, and how the person was going on this journey to be rich and all that. That's all abstract, man. That's all abstract. I'm sorry. Like when you're talking about like you had this epiphany one day and you saw these buildings in the school and how the school was taking away like people's thinking and stuff like that. I guess you would say brainwashing them. That's all abstract, man. Sorry. Um, and you talked about going through stages. You're going through stages. I would hit you for progression again. So you're informative, initiating, progression, movement, process oriented. You're abstract. So the only two types you would be was ENTP and ENFP. And ENFPs,
I'm not affiliative, though. You can just get rid
yeah,
of that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So you land right back down to ENTP, man. Just, I mean, the coffee just makes you put you more in hyperdrive, gets the shit growing a lot more. I don't really like coffee because it makes me unfocused. It's like, it makes me like coffee just makes me like, I just don't like coffee. Like, I just do not like feeling that way. It makes me feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack or something. I fucking hate caffeine. That's just me personally, but I don't feel like I get depressed from it. I just feel like I'm gonna fucking die. Like, I feel like me personally, I think I'm caffeine sensitive. So I don't really fuck with caffeine at all. So,
Mhm.
but I don't
Okay.
think it really changes who I am or anything. I mean, I think I get a little bit more energy. I get more I guess like I can think faster. Is what I would say on coffee. I can think a little bit,
That's supposedly what it should do to you. Yeah.
I can think a little faster, but like I feel like if I got like fine tune into something and like focus like 100% like all into the one thing, coffee kind of interferes with that a little bit for me. It's kind of annoying.
Mhm.
I'd rather
Okay.
be my normal self, like my normal chill, like not like
Mhm.
like I only want to do that if I have a purpose for it. But go
All
on.
right, so Marissa, since I'm such an initiating informative movement person, let me tell you, can I debate?
You can ask anything you want, bro.
Okay, okay. A lot of the things that you hit me for TI and or abstract for or whatever, you're right, you are right. The thing is, I was talking about my past, like, on and epiphanies that I had on days when I was under the influence of coffee.
Mhm.
So that's why it's not completely it's it's not going like you know what I mean? And a lot of the abstract stuff, like the book, I started writing it when I was on coffee, and all these other things, I started doing when I was on coffee. And also moral values being bullshit. I don't believe that. It's more the reason why human beings have moral values is because they have chemicals in their brains and their chemical decide what they like and what they dislike. It's not because of any like we don't technically need to have them, but I have very, very strong moral, boundaries to everything.
Okay, so you just told me exactly why there. So that would be a TI thing that you just did, breaking down why someone
So
had.
so are you saying that if I'm not a T, are you saying that if I'm a TE user and not a TI user, I wouldn't understand why everything?
Well, you wouldn't be so focused on the why all the time.
But in this instance, the only way I'm able to convince you out of thinking this way is by telling you
I mean,
why.
you could say whatever you want, but I'm just saying it's like when you're going after the why a lot of times it's TI um statement there because TI is about understanding. It's the
Yeah.
understanding function, defining.
One thing I completely agree. I am a TI user. I definitely strongly relate to that. But
So if you're a
the
TI
thing
user,
is
you can't be an ESFP or ENFP. And
the thing is though, I
ESF,
also
where you're ESFJ, like you said, you're not a filler. So
get the hell out of here.
by
I'm not an
rule of elimination, dude, you can only be an ENTP, man. You can only be an ENTP.
fair enough. I'm not completely sure if I am able to accept that because I literally hate being an ENTP. It is like the most
Like
tragic thing in the world to me.
I
And
don't think we. I mean, I don't think. I don't think there's overall like good and bad when it comes to type. I just think like you are who you are and like you work on your weaknesses and it's either you work on your weaknesses or you don't. And understanding who you are allows you to be like, okay, I see myself as somebody right now, my TI is not as great as it should be. So what should I do to make that better?
mhm.
So things you could do to make that better. Read more books, obviously. If you read more books, then over time, like that TE and the TI is going to combine and it's going to be a lot better. Or you could say, you know what, I want to, you know, give other people a good experience instead of like worrying about my own experience. Like that's just going to take you to the next level. So
That's
like
SE, right?
that'd be SE. Yeah.
Mhm.
So like from that perspective, like it just allows you to understand what you need to work on. And it's not like good and bad. Like if you're an ENTP, you really got to work us on like finishing things, As long as you can finish things, you'll do pretty well in this world. If you're having a hard time like finishing things, you're gonna be fucked, you know.
Could
Um,
you describe the ESFP personality to me briefly? Because, all right, here's the thing. Okay, I know I'm cutting you off because I'm fucking initiating as fuck, but
yeah.
because every second a new thought comes to my head. But I took the mistype investigator test, and half the reason why I ended up concluding I'm an ESFP is because I got like 80% on SE. And like I also got pretty high on TI as well. But on FE, I got very low. On SI, I got pretty low, and on any I got low as well. So that's why and it gave me like ESFP first option. ENTP was like the second or third last. So after doing that, I'm like, okay, is it really possible that I got 80% for SE and I'm an ENTP? That doesn't sound very likely
Well,
to me.
I mean, first I'll say the tests are pretty bad in general. Like the tests are pretty bad. Every time I take a test, I always get INTJ. Okay.
Mhm.
Like pretty much every test besides like 16 personality or anything that like it factors in extroversion, if it's measuring cognitive functions, I always get INTJ. That's just it is what it is, just what I get. But ESFP, they're initiating their progression. They don't really think too much on things, man. They're just going and enjoying life. Um, everything has to be in the moment for them. Like everything is about the moment. If you ask, like a good thing is I ask an ESFP, like, what do they think about retirement? And they're like putting money like away into like a retirement and thing. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, why would you put that money in retirement? You may not live to see that money. Use that money today. See what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It's all about like today, all in the moment, enjoying today, like getting the best out of today. It's not about like anything long term. If it should be like they think short term to medium range at best. Like most of the time it's just short range, Like I have an ESFP friend and like her hero function just comes out and just like, you better enjoy today because you're gonna be old, ugly, and whatever in like 10 years, 5 years or whatever. And it's like so she's like putting pressure on us to like fucking live in a moment. I'm like, shit, calm down, motherfucker. Like it's not that serious. But to her, it's like it's serious. Like they just want to live in a moment, man. They want to enjoy like what life has for itself. They don't want to do like they're not thinking. They're not gonna be like trying to solve the problem of why. life is the way it is, or like philosophies or any of that shit. Like to that's meaningless. I should go out in the world and do something today. Sitting in the
Right.
room just
Yeah.
like debating ideas and shit. That what is that for them? Like it's like that means nothing to them. Like unfortunately, we become like a slave to our functions. You know. So for yourself, it's would be extroverted intuition and then TI. So brainstorming, seeing ideas, and then unlocking and unpacking those ideas with TI and understanding the core why of that, or what's going on there and seeing the patterns between this and that. That's all going to be NE, man, and TI, unfortunately, man.
Okay, I'll contemplate it, but I'm very reluctant to believe I'm an ENTP. And if I
Hey,
do believe I'm an ENTP, I'm probably just gonna lose interest in typology.
I mean, what I mean, it is what it is, bro. You can't. I mean, I,
Because a lot of like a lot of the things with ENTPs I do relate to, but then also a lot of the things with ESFP, like living in the moment, I'm all about that, so that I relate to that as well. So it's like fucking which one am I? And I've already figured out I'm of all the functions, I could be maybe even responding more than initiating, maybe like as slightly possible. But one thing is for sure I'm pragmatic, so that you can get rid of all the affiliative types. Then it seems quite likely I'm initiating formative movement. So with that being said, I'm either ENTP or ESFP. There's no other option pretty
Mhm.
much.
Yeah.
So then once I took the cognitive functions test, and because I freaking hate being an ENTP so much, you see, I'm being guided by my emotions first, not logic.
I
So then
mean, I don't understand. I mean, it is what it is, bro. Like it's just hey, unfortunately, it is like I don't. I mean, to me personally, I don't get too caught up behind type because um regardless to anything you do in life, you're gonna have to pay your own bills. You're gonna have to live in this world. You're gonna have to go out in this world. Like type is just, the core you, right? And
right,
that's just like, let's say the core you, like your things, core needs, core values, that type of thing. But then you also have like your contextual self. Like that's a combination of like everything that you've been through, life, stuff of that nature. So like when you say like you're an ENTP, yes, you're an ENTP, but you're not the same as another person. Maybe you got when you guys like five and the core values were more like out there, like like the core and everything was there. But by the time you're 20, 25, 30, that core has been kind of assimilated with other things. So I don't really are you following me?
sort of, yeah.
So like let's say you take a 5-year-old version of yourself and a 5-year-old version of my brother. They're probably gonna be very similar into like the things that they do and things of that nature. But by the time you guys are 25, 30, he's mixed in a lot of different things that you've not mixed in, and you've mixed in a lot of different things that he hasn't mixed in. But the core of the ENTP is still in you. But like there's all this other shit around it now. Do you get what I'm saying? It's
Hmm.
like you start out and it's like by the time you're 20, 25, 30, it's a whole ocean. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, yeah, look, sure, whatever.
That's like the problem that like people get with like a set type or whatnot. Like let's say for instance, they'll say like Kobe, like, oh, he's INTJ, and I'm an INTJ. Like, yeah, when you guys started out, you guys were pretty much the same, but then Kobe went a certain route, right? And by the time he's 25, 30, he's a whole ocean of what Kobe is, right? Right. And then you took a different route as an INTJ. And then by you're 25, 30, you're a whole ocean differently. While he like manifested basketball, you may have manifest some type of data collection or pattern sequencing thing, something of that sort, while he's like putting in thousands of hours playing basketball. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's like, unfortunately, um, don't get too wrapped up in your personality type, bro. Like,
I'm not like it's not so much wrapped up. It's I just don't accept that I'm restricted by the confines of NENT. I do not like NENT. I think I think they're horrible, to be honest with you. I way, way, way prefer SC and FI. you know, and TE as well for that matter, and NI. I feel my book is about NI. So it's
Well,
like,
you just your book is called Self-Discipline. That would be SI.
sure, but it's about what you want, like it's about going for what you want,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to achieve what you want. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care about self-discipline just for the sake of self-discipline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get you there, man. For me, writing a book on what I want, it's just like you got to sit down, you got to focus, and it just, I don't know, man. For me, I just always know what I want, man. It's just like no matter what, it's kind of like from a kid, you know. I don't have to like write a book on it. I think it's just focus. You know what you value. You know what like kind of like you know what makes you feel good about yourself. So then you want it and you think about it and you visualize it, you crystallize in your head and you go for it. Um,
Would you like a copy of my book once I'm done?
yeah, definitely, man. Definitely autograph.
Okay. And then you tell me if it's of value to someone who thinks more that way that you just described. Could I go through, because I'm trying to get better at type myself, and I think it might be valuable for a user. So I could definitely agree with you on Chai being, responding and direct. And also I did see abstract as well, unfortunately, even though I was hoping I could go with ISTJ. And then what else? I did see FINT as well, but I saw NE and SI. Like when she was talking about like she likes astrology because that's what people have always believed. That's one example.
Well, if she likes astrology because that's what other people believe.
But like her ancestors and people in the past believed that, you know what I'm saying?
I think she,
Like,
oh, okay. Go for it.
but like is it like kind of isn't that sort of SI like everyone has always, so it's like tradition almost, you know?
SI is more about staying consistent with an experience that you have or referring back to um, a storehouse of information that you have. Like, let's say they'll say, oh, this thing right here gave me this type of feeling or whatever. Like
Mhm.
it's pretty much how can I sum it up? Referencing back information, sensory experiences that you've been through or of that nature. So like they will reference something from the past, but they know like in high detail, like, okay, um, Henley was wearing pink, purple shirt, blue shoes, like high detail to it, you know. A storehouse of information. They refer back to their storehouse of information that they've stored from previous encounters. Like when she said something about like, oh, I like astrology because everyone's believed in it. It's kind of a TE thing,
I get
everyone
that, yeah.
believed in it. And it's kind of like building some credibility for the reason why. And she's talking about reasons there, so it's more TE and not, she's not explaining
Wait,
like,
but when I was doing that before, you told me
no,
that was TI.
yeah, but she's not explaining like the intricacies of why. She's just saying, oh, well, other people believed in it. That's very surface level, right? That's not explaining like the intricacies, like, oh, well, if she had said like the moon, the stars, all this coordinate with this and that, and then this is the reason why astrology is important. She's not saying that. She's like, well, she gave a very surface level for a reason. You get what I'm saying? Are you following me?
Yeah,
She's
I
not
do. But now
unpacking
you're
it.
making it seem like TE are surface level shallow people.
A lot of times it could be that way. Like she's not really unpacking it in a way where you would be like convinced on a logical argument. Like if she was to debate
So
that,
that's
that would
so
easily be
stupid.
thrown away. Like if she was
But like,
debating that premise, that would easily be chucked out by somebody. Like, oh, that
yeah,
makes no
because
sense.
that's not a tenable argument. You have to use, that's the thing with TI. It's like, okay, on one hand, I don't like it that much that I have to live like this. But on the other hand, it's like, oh my gosh, there's no other way you can debate this, you know? Like if you're anyone of credibility, you have to use
Yeah.
logic to prove anything. It's like listening to a politician. Oh, it must be true because Donald Trump or Joe Biden said it. It has to be true. Yeah, fuck it,
Yeah,
you know?
so that's a
Like,
TE approach. It must be true because of
yeah, but that's how the world
external.
turns to shit. It's like,
It's
you
like
know?
they're using the external source and they're trying to appeal to authority. Oh, it must be true because Donald Trump said it. That's a TE perspective. They're not getting into the intricacies of the principles of why It's important. They're just throwing some bullshit ass reason, which is TE, inductive reasoning.
All right, whatever. That's just some bullshit. Okay.
Inductive reasoning
Anyway,
versus deductive reasoning.
okay, then she also talked about like another example that I remember at the top of my head was she said with psychology, she doesn't like one thing she's insecure about is the fact that she's not sure what other people would want, you know. So that's NE, right?
Yeah, that would be any. She's insecure about it. But a strong any user would know what other people want, right? Strong
Yeah,
any.
but any what about any in the fourth spot?
Yeah, I mean that's a possibility. But once you're talking about an abstract person, then that eliminates ISTJ. So
Okay, was she definitely abstract?
I'd have to go back and because you're pulling me on a whim, and I haven't seen the video in a while. But I mean, I could go through and like possibly make a breakdown of chai because some people were thinking, oh, she's INFJ or whatnot. I could do a breakdown of what I'm seeing and
Yeah, it's just
what.
like I remember like three other times. Like I just don't remember them at the top of my head right now. But you know, yeah.
Mhm. Like SI is all about like comfort and stability. So she's not really talking about like comfort or stability or staying comfortable or like any type of SI related events there, unfortunately.
Okay, fair enough. All right, I won't bother you anymore.
You're good, man. You're good, man. Like
But
inbox is always
I'm
open. Inbox is always open. I enjoy it. You know,
why? Yeah, but I have to ask you. Okay, holy shit, I'm doing TI again. But why do you want to sacrifice so much of your time? You know, helping people like this.
I don't know, man. It's kind of like it allows me to master the information, man. Like I feel like I'm forced to
Oh,
master
okay,
the
okay.
information.
You
And
think you think by teaching you master it?
yeah, definitely. Um, it makes well, I mean, it just I don't know, man. It's very interesting to me. I love the topic. Um, like I said, I really used to I still believe I do. Suck with people, man. Like very much suck with people. And I kind of charted out on the thing and I was like, I'm gonna be good with people and this like typology and whatnot allowed me to see a different perspective of people that I could never see. Like I always
Yeah, I
say,
gotta say, like it's really, really good with that,
like I would
with
always
noticing the differences.
like chuck people in a box as like worthless or trash or whatnot or no future. And now it's just like, okay, well, this person's an ESP. They're seeing life from this lens. Like this is what's important to them for their life. Like I gotta stop forcing Mercer's view of life onto them. So, and I mean, when you talk to people and like you help them, like it kind of feels good, man. Weirdly enough, it kind of feels good. Um,
So then you're not, if in that case, then you're not such an FE demon then.
I mean, I'm getting better, man. I mean, like, for anybody, if you want to become like the best version of yourself, you got to get the hero and the demon on the same page. If you see any celebrity that's like firing on all cylinders, they usually got both of them hitting together. It's not just one. If you're talking about Kobe, he's got SI practice and discipline, and with his vision that he wants, those two are firing together. If you're talking about Barbara, I typed her the other day, ENTJ. She cares about how other people feel, but she also cares about being efficiency and getting things organized. She's got both of those hitting on both cylinders, and that's allowing her to, you got to get both of them on the same boom. Because once you master both of them, the whole world opens up for you. Like as a ENTP, if you get NE and then you get like SE as well, then you find you're the master of reality.
Okay, I have a question. All right, so if you really like, if because you're telling me you would be willing to talk about this kind of thing for as long as it takes, right?
I mean, sure, man.
So, well, then I may as well just keep asking you more questions then. Like,
Oh,
so
well,
then,
I gotta go today, but like anytime, like in the future, man. Definitely let me know. Like I said, my inbox is always open. You can always ask me a question.
okay, because
I'm never
still
gonna run. I'm
there are a lot of things I need to clear up about this, you know.
Yeah, so just let me know, man. I do. I was gonna go to the gym. I don't know if I'm gonna go to the gym now, but I should definitely fucking go. Go do back day or something.
Okay, so you have to go.
Yeah, yeah. Let me know though, man. We could do it again, man. Like,
All right, when, like,
you just let me know. I'll probably I'm always off like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Early Sundays. I work Sunday night, so before that. But
okay,
gotta get back to you.
I'd be very happy to do this.
All right, brother. Take it easy, man.
All right, take it easy.